jungle backup to get the kills on Silas, so perhaps he wants Pawn to go in a different direction. We're actually seeing the Zoe as the other mid lane ban here, so quite a lot of mid lane focus this early into the draft, and now we're seeing some of these Pawn champions. Again, felt like a bit like a sacrificial lamb in game number 1, and take away some of those champions that are relevant with just a couple of items and with some strong CC, and the Vladimir will also be banned. There's a lot open in this draft.
Ezreal.
Yep. They would have to first pick it.
So you don't want to give Deft his Jinx, but you can't ban that. But are you really going to give him his Ezreal? Yes. You will, because you want to get Tempt onto LeBlanc and deny Pawn his LeBlanc, but still a very scary thing to leave available in game 2.
Let's talk about the why. Why are Hanwha Life doing it this way? They are targeting Pawn, and the reason why you might look at this and you can't instantly say, whatever, you can go to Lissandra. Remember the Lissandra game against Hanwha Life is what got him subbed out. He actually messed up pretty bad in that game, and it was the only Lissandra game he's played this season. So what will Pawn take against blind pick LeBlanc with so many of his picks taken off the chart? That is what Hanwha Life is saying. They're saying, all right, we're going to double down around Pawn, but how can they actually find an advantage? And what will Pawn try to play? He is, of course, an Azir player as well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the idea behind it, but I can't find myself I do find myself shaking my head after, you see both Ezreal and Tahm Kench that were banned in game number 1 go straight over to the side of King Zone. So they're very happy about that after they just won on the back of the Deft bus. We'll see if they can do it again here, and if Hanwha Life's gamble essentially pays off. Now they are going to get a bunch of champions here that they do enjoy to play. We were talking about Olaf, one of those underlying guys I would have hoped for the side of bonO, as that is his favorite champion currently.
They didn't really seem to play around the Rek'Sai very well, so I don't mind just going Olaf and picking that high-tempo jungle. It's been comfort for Hanwha Life. The Ashe, this is an ultra-comfort draft from Hanwha Life. He's the first Ashe we've seen since the global ban last week. Has fallen off in priority so far this week, but Sang-yoon 4-1 on the pick. And you know what this means? This means that Hanwha Life have a blind pickable mid laner that does well in every matchup. Pawn is on a decent champion against him, but you do trust LeBlanc in this matchup more and more in 2019. They have the tempo jungler that almost always will win out if he has winning lanes around it, and they've got the Hawk Shot to give him extra information on the pathing of Cuzz. And if Cuzz falls back to one of his old picks, the Zac for example, in this scenario, you could worry that they will just be forced out of the jungle and really lose the game around the mid-jungle duos. So mid-jungle duo, very strong on the side of Hanwha Life, and we're seeing if King Zone, see where Cuzz wants to go, because his fallback in situations like this has been Jax in the past, and consider the Rek'Sai that lost in game number 1. The Lee Sin also so far is available, and is most picked, the Aatrox 4-0, is going to be banned by Hanwha Life.
See a lot of focus on the bans to the jungle here for sure, as they already do have their Olaf. The question is, what will be the next one? You were mentioning the Jax is his most played at 4-1. Could always hop back onto something like Gragas or even a Lee Sin that's still available if he really wants to.
SoHwan could be considered. Good matchup into the Olaf to disengage as a tank. All I'll say is, at this point in the draft, I like what Hanwha Life have done, because people will say, Deft got his Ezreal, but you can't ban out Deft. You can't get the player off the Rift. This guy will find an AD carry and wield it well. You can try to target the unreliable side, which is Rascal, Cuzz, and Pawn have had up and down games. That is what Hanwha Life are trying to do. They're going to accept the fact that Ezreal Tahm Kench is going to be very annoying and a main win condition for King Zone at 2 items, and try to keep everyone else on low tier picks or picks they're less comfortable on. Of course, in practice, we'll see how it all plays out, but so far Hanwha Life are pretty reliable on that approach, and they're going to round out their draft with Urgot semi-removed after the nerfs and Jace gone. What is the blind pick top laner? It's Key's Bard!
Here we go. First pick in this season. And it's definitely not Key's first time playing the champion, though, as we are absolutely throwing caution to the wind on the side of Hanwha Life.
It's ultra comfort. Doesn't it fit into the comfort draft? Yeah. Key made his name on Bard. TSM fans will never forget the Bard at IEM Katowice. That's a big pick for them here, and it's going to be a Sion blind pick top lane. It might be the Jarvan matchup. They'll have to deal with it if it is. See the action on King Zone. They have overall last pick.
Thinking about Aurelia here into the top lane, and Kali seems like a joke nowadays on 9.4. As, okay, we're going into Camille. You were talking about maybe the Jarvan top. We'll have to see where these picks line up.
Both Rascal and Cuzz are legacy Camille players. Rascal played this top quite a lot when he subbed in for Khan from time to time.
Yeah.
Matchup, of course, isn't going to necessarily be a kill threat one without a lot of jungle assistance, but I think it probably will be. Camille top lane more reliable. Only OnFleek is still playing it in the jungle. Interesting. So we get Camille Jarvan, Lissandra as a top side. Here's what we'll say about what Kingzone have with their top side, which we're kind of examining. We're like, all right, Deft and TusiN are really good. What are the rest of the players doing? They have very, very reliable engage, Valdez. And this is a Ezreal comp that is strongest at 2-item Ezreal. 3 items, of course, still good on Ezreal now that you go double tier build, but 2-item Ezreal in the mid lane with a Tahm Kench roam, and everyone else being go buttons is actually another identity for Kingzone that could be wielded very well by them in the mid game. Same level of late game insurance like there was in game number 1, but the matchups themselves aren't that kind for the lane. So there's a lot for bonO to work around here to potentially get a big lead in mid or top.
Excited to see if the comfort here for the side of Hanwha Life can drive them up to a win and make this kind of an interesting series. Maybe get it back to 1-1. Sang-hyun playing on that Ashe. That was impossible to go for as it was banned on 9.3, but now he can. And definitely some scary stuff here. You were mentioning 2 items, 3 items for Ezreal. Feels like the Ezreal, if it gets ahead, just becomes a threat at any point in the game, as many different players, Deft and Teddy, immediately come to mind as guys who can make this champion look unbelievably OP.
Ballpark is bouncing, I'm bouncing. I'm excited to see these draws in effect. I'm alive. Can they come back and force game 3?
We are here at LOL Park. Everything is filled up now as we are here on a weekday, and everybody has eventually filed in to come in and save their seats.
And Valdez, we should mention, it's not just any weekday, it's a holiday Friday here in Korea. Of course, it is basically a 100-year anniversary of Korean Independence Day, from what I understand, basically.
Yeah, so the day is the first movement of, the first moment when Korea was under Japan's rule back in 1919, where they decided, hey, we want to be free, we want to, be an independent nation, and a bunch of people got together, students, stuff like that, and wrote up a declaration of independence even, and said, we want to declare independence from Japan, and it took a while for them to find it. Eventually happened in 1945, but the reason they put the holiday on this day is because it was the first moment where Korea was like, hey, we're an independent nation, we want to be just South Korea.
Lesson there, and it is, as you say, a very important day for Koreans. I want to talk about the early game a bit here. It's a very smart start. We saw this from Jin-yeong earlier in the season, where it's a late invade on blue buff, and SoHwan was also covering his blue buff, so it's all about the potential of a 3-buff start here. Now, they won't necessarily 100% go that way, but it's vertical jungling with an Olaf, a very common thing given his power, but not around the top side, interestingly. This is vertical jungling around the bot side to allow Sang-hyun and Ki to overextend and potentially use that bar to put the hurt onto Tahm Kench early.
Cuzz coming in here, taking that blue. As we saw in the top lane, Kleptomancy taken here by Rascal, so we're wondering what to go up against that Sion when it's not a blind pick. You can just go into this. You're not going to have much kill pressure, so no reason to go for something super aggressive in terms of root. Might as well just try to scale really well and get those items a bit faster with something like Kleptomancy.
After the nerfs to Sion, it'll be interesting to see where the breakpoints are in terms of how much damage is required for a solo kill to happen. bonO's looking for that early turret dive here. Deft and TusiN should know this is possible.
We'll see if they can handle it here. As you see Jarvan all the way over at the Gromp, over at Agatha. We'll see if they can get away from this one as bonO looking for the angle. There's the stun by Ki, but bonO and Ki taking way too much damage, and now we got a Devour here on a bonO. Has to flash away. Does get the heal though, and well, see you later. This is Bard in this game. Don't get to see that ability used too often, but failed dive does actually nobody just die on the backside at least.
It just seemed pretty ill-conceived. It was always possible because we knew Olaf was vertical jungling on the bottom side of the map. A magical journey can disengage you from a turret faster than necessarily a flash can reliably do, but it's a level 2 Bard when it started, and that means that you can't tank the turret for very long. They don't expend the ignite early. They didn't really seem to have a plan to guarantee a kill, and the minion wave was in an awkward spot as well. So I think the execution was not quite as inspired as the idea, and in the end, it's no harm, no foul, but they do draw the heal out of Sang-hyun.
Yeah, I mean, give it a shot, but at pretty much any stage in the game, it will be hard to do much damage against Tae Kent and Ezreal with Tae Kent as well.
Remember though, Valdez, small point, teleport Ezreal, heal on Ashe, so they didn't have a heal necessarily. So they ignite there, even after the nerf. You understand the thought process from Hanwha, but it did feel a bit like a slow-moving car crash where Olaf revealed himself and they waited and they waited. With that extra time, the element of surprise being gone, it was pretty low chance by the end of it.
Yeah. Just got to go for it, I suppose, not wait too long and get poked out. So in the end, it did not work out, but props to them for trying. Olaf, bonO here went back. Does have the Predator, of course, picked up his boots. We'll have to wait and see which lane he wants to visit next time around, as he is pathing towards the top side scuttle.
The top lane Camille, we've seen a couple of times, but hasn't really inspired us. Been hard matchups as well. We saw Linderung on Jin-Air, for example, play that in game 1 of the series yesterday. And we weren't a fan of the pick, and it fell very, very far behind. Now, because, hold the point, Olaf's mid.
I'm trying to get on top of this one, but Cuzz in position to come in and just bodyguard here for Pawn. So nobody going to die this time around. As tons of damage goes with a huge fully charged Q coming in here.
Q will kill him.
Rascal, got to be so careful. Thal still has that one. The Q comes in, and first blood goes in the solo kill to Thal.
Well, unfortunately, Rascal messes that one up in a pretty big way. He actually got a huge win. When Hanwha chose to vertical jungle around bot lane, you go Kleptomancy, you max hookshot, and you just get lots of free gold from the enemy, is the strategy you follow. But if you choose the wrong time, Sion's just going to straight up kill you. The Glacial Augment helping the chase down potential. And now, egg on his face. Another late pick Camille that's found a bit wanting in the early game.
Absolutely is. Even had the lane in a fantastic spot. Kind of forced Rascal to immediately teleport back, and so many extra minions and XP going to go the way of Thal up in the top side. So that blind pick Sion doing work so far, and might be the key here for Hanwha to get a good early game.
Again, we were looking over the win rates for Rascal this season, and we put an X through the 7-0 Urgot. The Akali 2-1, that's removed as well. I have a star on the Jace, which again not available here, and he showed in game 1 as Vladimir could actually lane really well. Now we're seeing Rascal on the dregs, right, of the effective champion pool, and then you just get straight up solo mistakes like this, no jungler involvement, solo kill on the top side. That reminds you, our analysis of King Zone is, can Pawn, Cuzz, and Rascal be steady hands around the inevitable Deft carry? Hanwha Life invested everything to shut down everyone other than Deft, and so far, it's working out.
Cuzz level 6, as is Rascal, trying to get something done here onto the Sion before he's too tanky. But, well, we're just going to avert our eyes from that one, as no gank is going to come on in, as bonO trying to secure, once again, the blue buff away from Cuzz's jungle.
And what we remember about Camille lanes is that even at 2 items, killing Sion was always really hard. He dies the least of any of these top lane tanks that don't like laning into Camille, so you feel like the more gold that Thal gets, and a solo kill will give you that gold lead, the longer it will be before there's a tipping point where Rascal can solo out Thal and turrets abusing the Q, and that's a problem for King Zone DragonX, because they would have hoped that'd be around 25 minutes, feeling like 35 to 40 already.
I want to get more of a view down on the bottom side of what's going on with this Bard. We've so far been able to see some really nice burst damage onto Ezreal that basically doesn't have any health at this point in time. And a nice magical journey so far after the failed dive, but waiting for those big moments for Key to really pop off. I believe he did take Ultimate Hunter as well with the Electrocute, so looking for those big-time ultimates.
They got some pretty good turret diving potential with LeBlanc, Olaf, and Sion roaming through. Level 6 available on Sang-hyun. So far, it's just been kind of a minion wave lead because of their range versus melee support. So this is definitely acceptable losses for Tae Kent so far. But First Drake of the game. Just going to be vision cleared around it. King Zone against the flow of play got Drakes in game number 1. Not so much in game number 2.
Very true. Take another look up in the top side as Thal has health. He's got armor. Rascal not backing off, though. Did pick up his own Tiamat, and even though he's down a level, still having a decent time in the trades.
Every Camille top lane matchup, remember, we had a meta where it was against Gnar almost every game in 2018, is can I hookshot trade aggressively with River Vision, with the confidence that I can exit this without my escape, using my escape as initiate? If the answer is yes, you can halve most lanes and you win lanes eventually. It might be late in the game, but it is eventually. If you can't hookshot trade, if you have no topside control, you're basically useless outside of your ultimate. So for now at least, Rascal finding the confidence to go aggressive is at least getting lane control, but it could always be turned around by a roam like we're seeing.
Well, we got 3 members up in the top side here from Hanwha, but Cuzz in position is going to find this, and it will turn into a 3-on-2, but unfortunately, Rascal's going to miss the hook shot, but the ultimate nicely timed will be going down here, but Thal able to tank this one up, and did Cuzz just bite off more than he could choose? The question, he's ticking down. That's extremely close to a double kill up in the top side, and a near disaster averted.
Horn stays in mid. He gets, I would assume, one turret play to bot lane.
This is the timing there on the binding, but the ultimate seemed good.
Yeah, the Tempered Fate hits both, but we don't actually see any follow-up from it. Sang-Yoon didn't use his ult, so I guess there was some mixed communication there around a kill. Around the top side, Rascal's gone down. The Rift Herald will follow, and that means Camille may be falling perilously behind. But no mirror good story on the bot side means that Deft will continue to halve out this lane against Sang-Yoon.
I love the gold trail of the gold that goes from the plating. As long as you hit it, you're somewhere nearby. I'm gonna hold that thought as bonO extremely low on this Rift Herald. Oh boy, Cuzz.
He couldn't know, but if he went in there, that would have been happy times for him.
Would have been quite nice, but that's not the reality that we do live in. And so it does mean that bonO picks up the Rift Herald.
And I watched the replay of this turret dive. It's a really potent turret dive, the one we alluded to before. Cuzz comes to join and almost loses life on the back end as well. If Thal or Olaf had been able to tank 2 more turret shots, it for sure would have been enough time for Tempt to chase down the kill. And that means that SoHwan has been able to do just the dirtiest duo, in that he's got a solo kill in lane, and he's built a utility engage item that helps him in lane. He's gonna get health and armor to help with the trades, but also allows him to roam. The sword's special. He loves to go for Righteous Glory first on the SoHwan wherever possible. And that if that means he can balance winning lane trades and roaming better because of just the nature of SoHwan on the teleport, that would be potential match winner, because we already outlined that Hanwha want to fight around the early to mid game, and they're certainly set up to around this SoHwan at least.
We do take a bit of a look at the mid lane. Whenever the Aftershock is available for Lissandra, you just W and you get rid of any of the damage essentially that the LeBlanc is going to do. But Tempt is being smart and always hopping back when the Aftershock is on cooldown. So just a bit of a tip, if you find yourself into this matchup in solo queue, it's very common, especially nowadays with both of those champions. We do have this first Drake coming up here, and Thal just moving on down just in case. Doesn't look like anything will be stolen, as the 2-shot barrage will not take it this time.
Deft trying his arm. Not going to be finding the objective steal this time. We already saw one of the 2-shot barrages from the heavens yesterday with Nuclear sniping away the respawn. For now, that's a bridge too far for Deft. Give him time. He's only got half an item so far, or building blocks towards an item. Seeing Sang-Yoon and Key walk up again. Never trifle too much with Bard and Ashe, especially if Devour's on cooldown.
Very surprising burst damage. You haven't played against it too much. Even on the back of those range minions, you can see that Key is just doing AoE damage behind it. Deft forced to deal with that.
You can get caught napping a lot against Bard as a Tahm Kench lane, because Tahm Kench is always like 200 units away looking to devour. And if you don't devour, if oh, this trade's fine, you get double bound by the Q, and then things can go bad in a different way. So a lot of mind games there. As Pawn takes a pretty good side of that trade against him.
Like, Tempt didn't bother to hop back and actually just stayed within a bunch of that damage, so does go the way of Pawn this time. You mentioned how his Lissandra didn't look fantastic the first time around that we did see it, or I suppose the last time we did see it against the LeBlanc, but this time is ahead in the CS at least.
Definitely nothing to comment negatively about Pawn so far this game. Just building his core. As Sang-yoon and me have overstayed here. Takes a lot of damage at least. Teleport back timer is always going to be difficult for a non-TP laner to answer. Here we go. No Tempt with fate.
Not happening this time. Felt like that might have been the try, but even with Devour down, it looks like they may just go for it on the follow-up as here comes Sion. The ultimate comes in from Sang-yoon into the big-time stun. You're going to give that one over to the side of Sang-yoon as, oh, he has to heal just to get out of that one, but at least they can pick up that kill.
5 members invested for the play, so what happens around the Rift, given that actually cost Hanwha Life Esports in game number 1? They get down Deft, who accepts his fate, tells TusiN to run away. No way out as Cuzz gets a counter kill.
Yeah, Cuzz coming in here right towards the tail end of that play down on the bottom side. bonO trying to flash away, and now is going to use that Ragnarok. Will not get knocked up, but is the damage there? Tries to swing it back, but it will not happen as Cuzz picks up 2.
And this feels eerily similar to game number 1 as the first play is telegraphed. They use so many resources. Why do they need Sion for that dive? 5 people was too many. 4 was probably the line. On that one, Cuzz gets a bit of free time on the top side. Not sure if he got turret played, so not didn't see the timers there, but did get damage done to the turret. And now Kingzone, as Hanwha Life are late on the reset, are actually going to push up and take another turret as well.
Kingzone, great positioning. They leave the Ezreal to go mid. They leave Lissandra with Demolish on the bottom side. They can push this one super fast, especially with the auto attack speed of the Jarvan. You take that turret out, you keep top and mid alive, and you get a nice little gold lead already at 15 minutes.
You just know that Hanwha Life players are the sort of kids that got their Christmas cards and shook them out. Where's the money at? Where's the they weren't reading the text here because they're so focused on what they get that they're not looking at what the enemy are getting in scenarios where they should be trading up. They invest everyone. All 5 people are needed to get this single kill. They need to use heal. Sang-yoon doesn't take the magical journey and is like, aha, I'll stay, and gets some turret damage and then just disregards the Abyssal Voyage. It's so greedy, and it's Sang-yoon and Ki, the most veteran duo lane we have in the LCK.
This is an avoidable mistake, as you like to mention a lot of the time, you know, the VOD review kind of thing, where you go back and look at this and you say to the bottom lane, hey, you can't do this as well. Can TusiN live is another question. No great health for him this time around as Deft, gonna miss that Q. Maybe not respecting him enough, but in goes Cuzz. They don't seem to have the damage, but Pawn able to pick up hard. On the backside, here comes Rascal into that backline. Is this the big time bait coming in? Huge stopwatch timing from Rascal, but in goes Sang-yoon just tipping away at so many different members. Finally gonna get a second one on the backside. Here comes Deft, gonna try to get on top of Sang-yoon, has that chip damage. The hook shot comes in, and he gets it, but Tempt at least is able to trade one back.
Super exciting on the back end. The frozen thralls, if the first one came in earlier, might have just tipped the fight on the side of Kingzone. Very bloody trade, small advantage Hanwha Life, but only a small advantage. Opened up with TusiN, just not finding the right cleanse timing. Hanwha Life trade 4 for 3, but it could be 5 for 3.
Well, he does have his top 10 as Deft goes forward. He lives with about 20 health. He had 18 right there towards the bottom. I saw it, but could have even gone lower as Deft. He's playing with fate here.
He was having ultimate trust. Is the True Shot Barrage going to go wide? We'll never know. We're going to watch the replay here. TusiN has cleansed this entire time. When should use it? Could use it here, doesn't. By the time he uses it out of great health, it's not a great timing there, but you understand the theory. When we see Tempt come in, you think it's over, but then Pawn says, that's a lot of people that I could get frozen thralls in. The first one is on the wrong side, and then he tries to choose his moment. They focus onto bonO. He goes down. Thal actually lives another 1.5 or 2 seconds. This could have been a Kingzone turnaround at a time when Hanwha Life wants to be fighting. So not an ideal trade, but this one more to the side of Hanwha Life.
That frozen thrall you were mentioning nearly took out bonO on the backside, but Tempt sticking around, knew it was going to be a close one, able to shovel up a kill on the backside of that one as Mountain Drake, seems like Kingzone doesn't want to give over 2. They'll use this time on the map to take their own. Whereas Thal going to have some free time on the top side to take out that turret.
If you want an update, LeBlanc has no deaths, so there was no answering kill. We don't know if True Shot Barrage went wide or hit. Kill was not obtained. During that replay, Death Squad, and we wanted what Cuzz, bonO, and Rascal be doing. They're roaming Death Squad. We talked about the pick CC in the mid game. Thal also can get some CC going. Which way is the CC train going? Because I think it's going to be the gravy train right now.
I mean, they absolutely know that this is coming from the north side. You can see the positioning of Deft and TusiN, very smart. They don't even stay under turret. They know they're safer below the turret on the right side of that one. So we'll avoid any kind of, you know, crazy dive that we would have had underneath that tier 1, and things gonna calm down for now.
And it's important to know that Hanwha Live played to their control towards top side of the map, the vertical jungling. Being reversed from level 1, and that was Kingzone roaming around their control of the map. So while it looks like a fiesta with 3 different people on either side looking and trying to start a fight, it's actually pretty controlled and played to the win conditions of both sides, ends up being a 50-50.
Does come in, bottom side. Inner turret goes to the side of Kingzone as we're about to hit that 20-minute mark. We do have Mountain Drake for each team, and Kingzone with a slight lead. What do you feel like as this game goes along? Who's going to be feeling like they're in a better spot the longer this game goes?
So the only reason to me to pick top lane Camille is to have eventually a point where she walks up and deletes both turret and champion health pool. Now, killing the Scion is hard, but chunking him out enough to force him to back off to at least Warmog's heal while you take a turret down is the reason you take top lane Camille, and of course, team fight initiation. So the tipping point is probably going to be later after the early laning phase. So I think that's where things really hit the next gear. If after all the incremental nerfs there isn't a period where that happens, the reliability of Hanwha Live versus Kingzone, it's very close, but I give a small advantage to Hanwha Live. It's very small, but to me, Rascal in a side lane should be the main win condition here.
See if that does play out as here comes Scion from the bottom lane. Gonna miss that tempered fate, but he gets the huge stun onto the catfish here.
TP.
Easy kill. Now, can they get out of it is really the question. 2 members do, but the rest of them are stuck in there. But here comes Tempt into the backline, but he gets ulted by the Hextech ultimatum. He's going to be immediately focused down as he was the only one going forward as the rest of his team was going back.
These fights are so hard to gauge because it's a fool's rush-in moment if 2 people die on the back end and the frozen throws win you the fight on the side of Kingzone, or it's perfect if you get your man and get out. We only knew right at the end whether that would be the case. Ends up being a very close trade between the two. It's such a topsy-turvy game, and 14 kills at 21 minutes is fast for LCK standards. TP coming.
Oh boy, Pawn, what have you done? As here comes Thal from behind. Pawn absolutely will go down. The question is, did he bring anyone else with him as Tempt trying to go on the run here? Magical Tourney, strangely small there as finally the stud does come in, and TusiN will help out his AD carry.
Always love seeing fights kick into next gear, and Hanwha Life are going for closest target into make sure Ezreal doesn't do damage. If you watch their fights, you'll see that everyone drops who they're damaging and turns onto Ezreal after a burst comes in. Speaking of burst,
yeah, TusiN takes a bunch of damage, but so does Thal on the backside of that one. It was interesting in that fight. It kind of felt like Tempt, you know, there's not so much Camille nowadays, especially in solo queue. Unless you're going to see it in the top lane, but you don't see it all too much. Maybe just wasn't expecting to be ultimatums there and kind of got caught out, but that Camille pick wasn't very impressive for the side of Jin Air, but not so bad so far, I'd say, for Kingzone.
I love the build from Thal. We talked about Warmogs. It's there to try to heal away after those Rascal trades. Going to watch the replay. They go in for the burst, and they take down TusiN very, very quickly. But then watch the rest of this fight. They see the TP flank coming in, even 5v4. Their first job is, all right, make sure Ezreal doesn't do damage. As the fight goes on, Tempt uses everything to try to zone Deft, and that's where he gets caught because they have such a binary decision as the fight goes on of using everything to shut down Ezreal. Get caught in one spot. Unfortunately, Rascal goes top. Tom Kench has to Abyssal Voyage. It takes time, so it's a really good flank teleport by Thal. Not something he was known for on SKT, but something that's been observably better on Hanwha Live.
Able to make the play happen as it was perfect timing, right? As Kingzone were thinking about chipping away at that turret. They just are able to get caught there underneath that one. We do have an Ocean Drake coming up right now. We'll see if Kingzone do actually want to commit too much to that one.
Getting the zoom out here because Pawn is on quite the walk. Pawn and Thal are always going to be on walks here. He should be spotted soon. No vision down from Thal. The Baron is at least being postured to by Hanwha Life. They think that's going to draw out Rascal, but he's being dogged and not responding because his TP is up, and that means the smite and the TP. KingZone can have all their members there pretty quick, but Thal is lying.
Kwon actually just scanned out where the Scion was. They see him on a ward now, but some nice extra information.
Our observers are working overtime. We're getting to the vertigo levels of zoom out to see the next levels attempted by both sides. So far, KingZone have been the more stubborn team. They're saying, we're going to still do it our way. Hanwha Life trying to next level them by moving towards Baron wasn't enough to actually affect KingZone's position. You look at Hanwha Life's team, their Baron speed isn't that fast. They're not believing. Pawn knows he's not spotted.
Take a look at Pawn, just going to get in the backside to zone them out as everything is thrown out here. Still no Devour going to be used just yet, but here comes Scion right into the front line. It gets the top pension right there, but Deft able to pop back, and in goes Rascal into that back line. Can Tempt try to turn this around with this damage as Rascal's gonna go down. Pawn has to use the stopwatch. So much of Deft damage went straight into the Scion, and so many members still available to flash in from Tempt. Is not gonna be enough to get any of these guys down, as it looks like Hanwha want to turn this one up to the top side after that fight.
Ezreal hasn't got his items yet. Remember, the vertical jungling around the bot side has actually slowed down Ezreal. He only got the Mirror Mana transformation recently. No Blade, the Ruin King can't puncture through Thal and his Warmog, so Hanwha Life start Baron, and it's going to take a lot to stop this. There's no smite for KingZone, and TusiN doesn't have Unsealed Spell.
Well, we'll see if Deft can do anything here. Nope, as the Devour has to be used, the Baron goes the way of Hanwha Life at 25 minutes into this game.
Really interesting game so far. 19 kills at 25 minutes. Going to watch the replay. This is Pawn investing everything. Could have just tried to zone with his E, but they allow the arrow to come through. And now, of course, with the longer cooldown on Devour, when do you use it? Is always a fair question. Used quite late, but Deft can't do damage to Thal just yet. Rascal comes in, he deletes the low health part of Bard, but otherwise he can't do damage and live. He can't do that yet. There's no Guardian Angel or tankiness behind him, so the reliability of Hanwha Life's comp was the reason I gave him the slight edge in fights. We're still seeing that as Rascal is caught between items. He has one completed item at 26 minutes.
And hanging on to half of two for now, as that will definitely be a bit of a problem here. Scion just runs straight at you with his tank items and does so much more work for now. Still waiting on that one, and again, the gold is even for now, but that Baron being picked up here by Hanwha Life is definitely huge. Looking for multiple objectives off of the back of that to get ahead in this game. They're already going to get two of these turrets, as Thal even threatening there to fight up against Pawn. Feels very confident to do so.
Bard has 110 visions. That is insanely huge, but it shows you the map pressure is allowed to place and clear vision. On a walk against Baron buff, that's risky.
He's gonna get knocked up here, as nobody's gonna commit onto that one. It is a flash Lissandra that may even have Zonias at this point. So just going for a bit of a walk, as you were saying before, as once again we're zooming out here. Hanwha Life still looking for a big angle to take more objectives.
I think Hanwha Life should almost pay no respect to KingZone. We know the gold lead's not massive, but given the comp they have, the strong front line, and the fact that the threats on KingZone aren't that strong, it's actually Gunblade done now, but only a single tier. It feels like Hanwha Life must have to win, but KingZone gonna fight anyway.
KingZone want to make them respect him. The double knock up to the backside. Big Temper fade as Tempt is gonna try to get away from this one, but does go down, and with the two carries gone, as you mentioned, it looks like Hanwha Life going to maybe be gone in this fight as a triple kill goes the way of Deft. Can he get another one? That one will go to Pawn, and 4 kills go the way of KingZone.
I have no idea how they got down Sung-yoon so quickly. Sniped by Deft of all people. Disregard what I say. If you can kill Ashe with this front line, you take it every time, and now with that, they're pushing through mid.
I mean, it was just the flank once again. The TP comes in, the Abyssal Voyage, and from behind, they get into the backline.
So, Scion frontline, as what I said, made Hanwha Life square and reliable. Scion's not there, and KingZone find their R buttons, and damn does it work out. They instantly murder Ashe, and with her dead, Tempt doesn't have this sustained DPS to fight through, so really well done by KingZone. You mess that up, you lose the game. It was against Baron buff as well.
Definitely these are two teams in the middle of the LCK bracket that at times like to fight dirty, especially KingZone. You can see extremely happy, a sigh of relief there even on the coach as he knows that's a huge deal. He gets 4 members of Baron away and so many kills to swing back the gold lead in a massive way to KingZone, about 2,000 ahead.
I think people would be pointing at Deft and his lack of lethal contribution in previous fights. Well, now there's all the items that he didn't have before. Now Deft will be looking for a hard carry performance, and the bounty is back. 1,000 gold bounty won by him so well. 900s on the way there. Still some playmaking available, a lot of ults available for Hanwha Live.
You can see Cuzz is just thirsting to get to that back line and once again catch the Ash, but not wanting to go that far as, okay, maybe this time around as nice stopwatch and trying to dodge that one. He is going to flash on over. He's going to take a bunch of damage, but the stun is there, and Rascal is going to go way too far. But take a look at Deft. Can he do the damage here on the backside? It looks like SoHwan with a huge knockdown, but he's all alone for now. But here comes Songin around the bend. This fight getting so dirty. And it looks like it will just be the one kill that goes the way of Hanwha Life.
You see why we hyped up fights for Hanwha Life when they had Baron, because SoHwan is unkillable in the front line. He's present this time. Rascal falls into one of the cardinal sins of League of Legends, a more recent one than don't chase sins, but don't take the Bard Magical Journey. That's never going to work out. Magical Journey here was so pivotal, because watch this fight. Rascal says, I've got him again. I've boomed him onto Songyun. It worked last time, but first the stasis, and then he sees the Magical Journey and says, Songyun will take this. Instead, Songyun smartly flashes over, and Rascal gets just going to be hit by the binding into death. Cardinal Sin is completed. Thal eats 4 persons damage for so long. He is so outrageously tanky.
And he never dies.
And he still survives.
Yeah, the whole battle stays alive until the end somehow, some way. Nice job by bonO, actually. He was able to zone away a lot of the damage dealers in that side for a very long time to allow Thal to do his job and tank that one up. But we're getting the zoom in now on Deft, who does have the red buff and is getting really fed, has 1,000 gold bounty after all of the fighting that has happened here. And you'd have to imagine once that Archangel staff is finished, this guy's going to be hitting like a truck.
All right, Hanwha Life, no more tricky map plays. Those have really cost you this series. Killing the Silas over and over in game number 1. As Tempt doesn't pick up the blue, that's actually going to be Cuzz. And also pushing up for P5 and getting engaged on. Speaking of being engaged on.
How about going for the LeBlanc? If you can get behind her that far, you're definitely going to get the kill. And wow, just a really nice play there by KingZone.
TusiN has gone from being Tahm Kench being a black mark on his champion, but only playing engaged, to looking really good on the Tahm Kench. Their playmaking there was excellent. They knew the cooldown couldn't be up. He missed out on the blue buff. They took him down. Now KingZone's on Baron. What are you going to do?
Well, the answer is we're going to back off and farm and go back home. They have to give this one away, as they know that without the LeBlanc, they have so little damage threat or chance of getting on in there. They're not going to sacrifice bonO, who doesn't have his flash. So the Baron going to get on 5 members now of KingZone.
So Tempt is on a lane ward to start this play. Gets chunked out and has to flash. This is very relevant information from the observers before the blue buff contest that we saw happen before. He doesn't get the blue buff. We skip that part, and then he's done. That was actually a really good 3-point part, and I love observing like this. We had it yesterday, we get it today, where you understand a plan coming together. Why did Smeb into the brush against Griffin? Because level 1, we saw the Griffin members reveal themselves on the other side of the map, and thus Smeb went for a face check. Why do we see in this game the play there be successful? They did their due diligence. They went down the checklist of, he doesn't have flash, he's level 15, so his ult cooldown is relevant, and he didn't get the blue buff, so I don't think he has Mimic Distortion. Well played by KingZone.
Absolutely. As Devour used there on Cuzz, that could be relevant if Hanwha Life were in the driver's seat here, but against Baron and down a bunch of gold now, they're not going to be able to make use of it. And Archangel staff here finished, looking to push 2 lanes now as KingZone. Deft here with TusiN in the mid lane, everybody else hanging around the top side. Also keep your eye on that Infernal, will be the first of the game in a minute or so.
It's just so hard now with the shoe on the other foot, with Baron onto KingZone. Hanwha Life squandered their Baron, and that might have squandered their foothold in the series, Valdez. Now KingZone have Baron, now Deft's ready to go. He's ready to make them pay for what was a much quieter early game for the KingZone Superstar duo.
push comes in. Doesn't look like there's much of a chance of engaging on this one as, okay, actually, I'm going to hold that thought. They're looking for that one. It's a little bit too early, though, as they're diving Songin in the backline. Redemption keeps him alive for so long. He's still alive in the backline. Somehow, Song-Yoon stays alive, but can they win the fight here as Thal? He's really tanky. Doesn't look like he'll be able to stay alive in this one, as the inhibitor will go down. Even throw. Song-Yoon was not able to survive, not able to go down here. Kingzone gonna set their sights now on Red and Inferno.
Holy crap, Song-Yoon lived for so long, but actually it's a more egregious point when you watch the replay and appreciate something. We'll go the way to Kingzone. They got the inhibitor. They still actually get everything they want except the game victory instantly. But it's another time when Kingzone are a bit bold. Here's something to appreciate. Song-Yoon has Guardian Angel in this play. So they dive in, they use all of their ults to dive in, do Rascal and Cuzz, but they're the front line of the team. And the best they're going to get is a Guardian Angel, while Sion zones Ezreal for the majority. They're not playing around how strong Ezreal is. They're trying to slow down Song-Yoon without the damage and the items to back it up. So I think that's once again a little bit disconnected, and that's why they don't just straight up win the game. They get a small lead.
Shout out to TusiN to save Cuzz's life on the backside as well. There's no GA on the Jarvan, and he flashed. Well, he doesn't flash, but he's able to get in position and devour him, save his life to keep it at 4-4, so that they can continue the push onto the inhibitor. Small little great Tom Kent's play that makes all the difference once again here.
And the redemption from Bard also was why the Guardian Angel was retained on Ashe. Now, here's what I'll say. We saw an awesome fight back that couldn't actually bring back the game yesterday as Root beasted it against Jin-yeong. It's not the same level of lead here at 6,000 gold, but Hanwha Life have maintained Flash and have a 6-item Ashe. It's still a possibility. I think Kingzone are very much in the driver's seat, but they're still hyped with this game. Has one or two more awesome fights before it's over.
Definitely has been a fun day of games so far, as is exactly what I expected. Again. Okay, we're looking at the bottom lane now. They're just going to try to outmaneuver them. The rotations are big as they want to take out this turret. You see that Rascal trying to do so. Thal taking so much damage. It's Pawn, it's Lissandra that is going to be in the tempered fate. That's not who you want, as she's just able to get devoured up anyway. Down will go the turret as the push of Kingzone never seems to end.
Definitely is starting to get super oppressive. It's as the cannon minion, the minion wave already down in the mid lane, as here comes Stein trying something, but goes wide.
Trying his best to predict, but at the end of the day, his team not able to get on in there behind him. They're doing nothing. As finally, Cuzz gonna show his face to the Ashe here. In goes the key, and everybody is getting into that backline now as Rascal even gonna do a nice amount of damage. Deft is totally safe the entire time. Kingzone get 2 kills. Looks like they might get 2 kills against Hanwha, as they're looking for the game 2 victory.
Deft doesn't get popped there. His life is still almost full. They want to end the game around these minion wave pushes, but only one wave of super minions for now. Bot lane super minions gonna take a while. bonO.
Nice TP as bonO desperately trying to clear waves. Not able to do so. The dunk comes in. And once again, it's just Song-Yoon against the rest of the team. Does a nice amount of damage to the Camille. But that's just it. May even be able to retain that GA. Is going to use it to try to save the game. But this one is absolutely over. The dancing even comes out of Cuzz, as they'll get one more kill and another kill in the game here as the Nexus goes down for the 2-0 for Kingzone.
And that means that regular season Kingzone DragonX versus Hanwha Life Esports ends very finely poised. 2-2. After 2-0 Hanwha Life a couple of weeks ago, Kingzone battle back and they show the changing in the winds of fortune for Kingzone DragonX. This was a lot more convincing a performance. To me, the thing that separated the two teams is that Kingzone always seemed to know their win condition and always played with a lot of forethought. We saw the observers showing us about all the checklists they were marking off before they made a map rotation. I think TusiN should easily be MVP for this game. This was an outstanding Tom Kench game, and Deft was much more of a tertiary figure, but Kingzone seems smarter around the rift, and I think that means they should be deserved favorites when these teams meet again in the future. It also helps them jump up the standings and maintain that spot, as this could be the rivalry which decides who makes playoffs and who's condemned to being number 6 again.
definitely does also tell the story of KingZone slowly growing and getting better, it feels, as a team. And Hanwha Life, unfortunately, struggling in recent times. They go down to Damwon, and now they're going to go down to KingZone here once again. And these are teams that you would like to beat if you want to have a chance to make it into playoffs, as that will be the competition in the playoffs. We'll have to see which of these teams can stay more consistent at the end of the season, at the end of round 2 here, and actually make it into that 5th or 4th spot.
I know, to me, it's an awesome best of 3. 2-0s is sometimes very skippable, where you don't learn anything like, this team flexed on this team, great. But here, we learned a lot about tendencies, a lot about where teams are strong and weak on these evolving squads that haven't worked out exactly where they're good, exactly where they're bad. They haven't worked out how they're going to assault Griffin and be a top 1 team. But both these teams did some good things this series. I just think that KingZone outweighed them, especially on a macro sense. Hanwha Life's bloodlust for Pawn in game number 1, and then their squandering of the Baron buff in game number 2 were the big reasons they were shut down. Naehyun's walking up. He's still smiling. Sorry, mate. It's 2-0. The series is over.
Yeah.
Not going to get to play on this day, but he's holding up some things for his teammates. Is that a mold tissue? There might be a wet tissue there for Pawn.
The
Pawn's
little,
backing up.
Box of wet tissues on his little table, it looks like there, that he's carrying around. As for now, he's the water boy. Unfortunately, maybe next time around he will get to play.
But this is a second round robin series, and why I say that is not just factual, it's the difference between KingZone and Hanwha Life is not night and day, but after you've had all this stage experience, being that much better at macro, kind of observably better in some of the rotational plays, is enough to close out Series 2-0, is something super significant, not in Series 1 or not in the first round robin where people are still kind of working out the kinks. More and more the kinks are worked out for KingZone every series they play, and as a 5, they're getting more and more fearsome and more looking like a dark horse that could start in the wild card, don't get me wrong, but potentially take some best of 3s or best of 5s over more established teams.
I mean, it's already happened a couple of times, right? They've 2-0'd Damwon Gaming already. They've 2-0'd Sandbox. And that's not really close series that could have gone either way. That's 2-0s both times. So KingZone, absolutely, I would say the dark horse of this one. I would predict them to go up ahead of Hanwha. Obviously, it's easy to say that after they did just 2-0.
But if I asked you power ranking, it'd be so hard. Because I think the best of KingZone is right up there. You're like, who is good, right? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 2? But the worst of KingZone, when Rascal and Pawn and Cuzz are falling apart, they look very off the pace. So this could definitely be a team. To me, they look like, based on current form, will make top 5, but they could easily crash out 2-0 in the wild card. And you're like, that makes sense. Or they could 2-0 and build up ahead of steam and take some giant killing names. So very interesting right now where KingZone ranks and also where they rank in a month's time.
Will they be the new Africa of 2019 and just go to wildcard and drop out, or actually make a splash here? We'll have to wait and see. We're going to take a look at some highlights here as the solo kill once again. Thal, on the winning matchup of Jace versus Vlad, he did very well before the mistake that happened in game 1. And then Sion versus Camille, he's able to get that solo kill, so I suppose at least he should feel pretty happy about his play in this series.
I think Thal played really well today. I think this is one of those games where you could show this to a 2018 SKT fan, and first they would laugh that he lost 2-0, but you watch his play and he knows exactly how much health he can tank, it engages, his teleport flanks were good. All the things that he couldn't perform on SKT, I thought he actually had a really strong series here, so can feel hard done by in defeat. A lot of the issues, again, we felt were macro sense around the side of Hanwha Life, but so DragonX, who we're focusing on, they weren't as on top of Hanwha Life as they were in game number 1, but they still had a good performance in game number 2, and this play against the Baron was what won them.
Then it was the hook shot for the stun into the alley-oop for Cuzz, makes the Ashe disappear, and the Tempt as well, because they get both the carries in that one play, and that's with Baron. That's with Hanwha Life pushing to potentially take a unrecoverable lead in this game, but it doesn't happen. It's 4 kills to the side of KingZone, and some really measured plays in this one as well. They get the flash on Tempt in the mid lane. They show back up into the top lane after his distortion to really take advantage of that. Really smart play today from KingZone.
The Bard comes back, but not to a victory on the side of Hanwha Life. It kind of reminds me of the Blitzcrank they played last series, and the comms were, we didn't practice that much, but Sung-in was feeling it. You would feel it. This was kind of the same thing, because even that Tempered Fate disconnect, that didn't look 100% ready to go on the Bard play, and while the Bard got them some good things in the lead around bot side, in the end, it'll be on the shelf for a while. We hope to see it again. It is a legendary pick for Key, but not to a victory on this day.
He did his best, had some good moments, but in the end, Kingzone do come out the better team in this one. Last highlight, I would imagine, from this series, as Kingzone are able to eventually push on to the win. Take a look at the damage. 52,000 in 37 minutes. Seems about right for Ezreal's, especially Deft's Ezreal.
36, 53. So it's about 40% damage, which it didn't feel like, right? But Ezreal, of course, the master DPM, and we lost Bang, so I think Deft is number one. Bang and Prey are gone. We had 3 God Ezreals. Now we still have Deft, and we have to appreciate the alpaca that is still in our midst. Great performance from Kingzone DragonX, but really fun series. This is the 2-0 that you could recommend, even if you were spoiled, you could recommend going back, watching. If you're tuning in late, do go back and enjoy the VOD. We're gonna have a long break before series number 2. But that was a really fun one. Kingzone too good on the day.
Very fun series, as it always is, with Hanwha and Kingzone coming on in here. And yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see who gets the MVP. I agree, it should be TusiN
or Cuzz.
But, you know,
TusiN,
Cuzz did have some really good
Those are my 2 people.
But
yes!
It is going to be TusiN. Fantastic. I heard a cheer from...
Dongjun was so hyped!
Yeah, the Korean casters as well.
We don't get a vote, guys, Korean or English casters, so I think we were all calling for my man TusiN to pick up the MVP. Remember, he was so close to being spring MVP of the overall season. The first ever support MVP. On his 300th game, he wins an MVP, so... Not a narrative MVP, this was just an awesome performance from TusiN.
Some really intelligent plays in this one. Gotta hand it to him as he makes it happen on the top 10s. Not just keeping his Ezreal safe and, you know, playing that passive kind of Ezreal Tom Kent. He was being active around the map and making his team win the game.
All the Abyssal Voyages were on point. And remember, those Abyssal Voyages where he donated kills to the enemy was a big reason that Freak of Freak struggled in the playoffs last year.
오늘 승리의 주역이죠. 킹존을 든든하게 받쳐주고 있는 바텀 듀오 모시겠습니다. 데프트 선수, 투신 선수 안녕하세요.
And we're going to be joined by Deft and TusiN, the bot laners of Kingzone.
네, 데프트 선수는 인터뷰 지분율 100%입니다.
Deft,
매
you haven't
승리의
linked
순간에
a
데프트
single
선수가
interview
있었는데요.
yet.
오늘 승리 소감
How do you feel about
어떠신가요?
this victory?
일단 하나 생명, 하나 e스포츠가 이제 저희랑
Well, Hanwha Life
같이 이제
Esports,
플레이오프를
We
좀
are
경쟁하는
competing for the
위치에
playoffs, you
있는데
know?
오늘 저희가
So
이겨내고 조금
I'm
더
really
높은
happy
위치를 차지한
that
것 같아서 더 좋은 것 같아요.
we
네,
kind of took them
오늘로써
down
킹존이
and
조금
we
더
are
우위를
a little bit closer to the
장악했습니다.
playoffs, so
자,
I'm
투신 선수는
really happy.
300전을 승리로 장식하셨어요.
And
감회가 더
TusiN,
남다르실
this
것
was your
같은데요.
300th game in LCK. You got a victory.
오늘
today.
300전인 건 몰랐는데 네.
I wasn't really aware of the fact that it was my 300th game in LCK. I'm really happy, and
네,
especially it was
기분
2-0 victory, so
자,
I'm
오늘도
really
바텀 라인전이
satisfied.
정말 강했습니다. 바텀 듀오의 활약이 빛났는데 사실
So
1세트에서
Kingzone bot
징크스가
laners, you
자야
guys
상대로 바텀
had so much
라인전이 아주 강한
priority
편은 아니란 말이에요.
today.
하지만 데프트 선수, 투신
Even though
선수가
you had the
함께하니까
Jinx
어느 순간
Brown
우위를 점하고
composition, which is
있더라고요.
kind of weak
데프트
in the laning
선수는
phase, you
라인전 할 때
even
가장
won the
중요하게
lane.
생각하시는 점이 뭔가요?
What's the most important thing in the laning phase as an AD carry?
되게 많은데
There are a lot of things.
일단 네, 그냥 뭘 잡아도
Well, just-
이길 수 있다는 자신감이
You need the
있어서
confidence. I mean, I have the confidence that I
또
can
데프트
win.
선수 하면
no matter
요즘 자야가
champion I
생각이
play.
나는데 원래 오늘 자야 하실 생각이었나요?
Were you planning to
이제
play Xayah
상대방이
today?
자야를 가져가게 돼서 좀
Yeah.
상대로 뭐 하지
So
생각해보다가
since
그냥
Hangyun took Xayah,
징크스 자신
I
있어서
was
그냥
thinking
하게
of what
됐던
kind
것
of champions I
네,
can play against
징크스로
it, so I
자야를
locked in Jinx in
불러버리는
the end.
모습이었습니다. 자, 1세트에서 아주 중요한 장면 나왔습니다. 화염용 한타
So let's
만나보시죠.
check out this team fight for the Infernal Drake over here.
네, 이때 교전이 펼쳐지고 있었는데 저기서 라스칼 선수가 3명의 선수를
Rascal
막아냈어요.
was taking
알고
so much
계셨나요?
aggro in the front line of,
저렇게까지
from 3 Hanwha players.
앞쪽에서도 저희가 굉장히 좋게 한타가 열려서
Well, I didn't really know that because we also had team fight in the Dragon Pit, but he was,
네,
I guess he was
라스칼 선수가 잘
doing really
막아줘서
well.
이렇게 데프트 선수가 키를 만들어낼 수 있었습니다. 이때 한타가 굉장히 중요했는데
This
끝나고
was
나서
one of the most
이제
important
우리에게
team
완전히
fights over
승리가
there.
넘어왔구나
So
생각하셨나요?
did you feel like you got the momentum after winning that?
1세트에서 이제 상대방이 좀 네, 뱀픽 쪽에서
Well,
저희가 조금
during
꼬인
the
부분이
draft,
있어서
I think our draft wasn't really that
게임
perfect.
시작할 때
We had some mistakes because we weren't really used to these new picks, but we were just trying to be confident, and game 1 was kind of clean, so we were able to. I thought we were going to be able to win game 2 even easier, but it was actually a bit of more struggle. So yeah, it was a bit tricky in game 2.
하지만 중간에 보니까 골드 차이가 미세하게 앞서 나가고 있었어요. 이 세트는 라인전 어떻게
Well, game 2 actually you guys were a bit behind in terms of gold and in terms of lane priorities. How did you kind of cope with those problems?
생각보다 상대가 좀
Well,
타이트하게 운영을 해가지고
they were even doing it tighter, you know, a little bit more harder
그럼에도 저희는 좀
in the laning
잘
phase.
풀어보려고 했는데 어떻게 호흡이 잘
So,
맞아서 좀 이긴
I
타임이
think we
빨리
had
왔던 것
a
같아요.
lot of
네,
very well
킹존이
team fight going
정말
on,
빛났던
so
장면이
I mean
있습니다.
teamwork going on, so we were able to kind of turn the game around.
네, 여기서 애쉬를
So this
노린
was one of the most
팀원들의
significant team fights.
킬 연계가 정말 인상적이었는데요. 이때
There were a lot of engagement and Ash to take her down.
발언을 먹히긴 했는데
So
애쉬가 결국 뚜벅이기도 하고
Hanwha actually got Baron, but we were. I thought we were a little bit in the lead in terms of opening team fight.
미드를 집어치면 무조건 걸 수 있다, 무조건
So
이긴다라는
we knew that we had the right angle to open team fight in the mid lane over there, and all the other players were doing so well doing the follow up, so we were able to win that.
이번 미드 한타 미드
Yeah, I was
무조건
just
걸겠다.
waiting for them to come to the mid lane to open team fight.
투신 선수의
It was all
오더를
planned.
필두로 정말 멋진 장면 나왔습니다. 요즘에 킹존 이 바텀 듀오가
킹존.
LCK 최고의
Everyone is
듀오다라는 평가가
emphasizing
있어요.
about you
투신
guys.
선수
The bot
어떻게
lane,
생각하시나요? 만족하시나요?
you guys are the strongest bot lane currently in LCK.
받는다는 건 되게 좋고 뭐 영광스러운
I
거라고
mean,
생각하고
it feels really honored to hear some kind of compliments, but I'm gonna keep trying hard to
네,
just
킹존의 바텀
maintain
듀오가
as
더
the strongest
강해지길
bot laners in
기대하겠습니다. 자,
LCK.
이제 킹존의 다음 상대는 SKT입니다.
And your next opponent will be SK Telecom.
이 기세라면 이길 수도
I mean,
있지 않을까라는 평가들이 나오고 있는데
The momentum is so good. I think you guys will be able to take them down. Are you confident?
팀을 상대로도 항상 자신 있어서
I'm confident against any other teams.
팀들한테 다 복수하고
And
있거든요.
I just
다음 경기
we are always giving our revenge on the teams that took us
네,
down.
지난
So I just want to
인터뷰에서
make
데프트
that
선수가
to happen again.
다 자신 있다. 뭘 잡아도 이길 자신 있다
Deft
하셨는데
said you are
다음에는
so
또 어떤
confident
원딜을
on
들고
any
나올지
crit AD carries, so I'll be looking
기대하겠습니다.
forward to
투신
seeing your
선수도
pick.
SK
And
전
TusiN,
소감 한마디
any
부탁드립니다.
message regarding SK Telecom
저희가
matchup?
다음 경기가 SK 그 다음 경기가 담원인 걸로 알고
So SK
있는데
Telecom and Daewon Gaming is coming up.
이기면은 되게 높은 곳까지 올라갈 수
Well,
있는데
if we are able to
다
take
이겨서
them down,
제가
we will be
높은
able to
곳까지
reach
올라갈 수
higher
있도록
ranks.
최선을
So I'm
다하겠습니다.
gonna make
감사합니다.
sure to make that
네,
happen. So
킹존이
please keep
서북부로
supporting us. Thank
진출할
you.
수 있길 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 인터뷰
This will
감사드립니다.
be the end of the interview with Deft and TusiN.
네,
I'm gonna
데프트
pass
선수,
it back
투신
to our
선수
casters.
만나봤습니다.
Thank you.
중계선 연결할게요.
And we're back. As they mentioned, you know, TusiN said they got SKT next and then Daewon right after that. So the schedule for them only gets harder, but I feel like that's a good thing because right now they're really firing on all cylinders. They're able to clinch that 5th place spot for now. Just one game score behind Daewon Gaming. It's super close to both SKT and Daewon actually.
But it's so tantalizing about us. I want to see that best of 3 now. I want to see both of those series.
Let's
King
do it.
Zone versus SKT will be Atlas and LS on Sunday. I will be watching with my eyes peeled at home. Could be a best of 5 preview for the playoffs there. King Zone and Daewon are red hot at the moment. Sandbox and SKT have been a little bit up and down recently. So just seeing those 3 teams, SKT, Daewon, and King Zone, will we have a greater than chain? Will one team pull away from the other 2? Any of the scenarios, and we actually learned something. And with Griffin removed this week, not playing any games during this match week, we get this evolving story that's just so tantalizing, given that we know that Griffin's right at the top.
Yeah. Right now it does feel like there are 6 teams that want to get